Happy New Year! Pickups video, first one of the year of the 20s. It's strange, isn't it? This is the 20s. Does it? Does to me. Yeah, pickups video. Nothing special. Nothing to talk about. There probably is, but I can't remember. I've got. It's the weekend. I've got. I think I literally just finished. This is brilliant timing, but I've had my neighbour's builders putting up scaffolding right next to the window. I'm looking at it here, and generally they're not around at the weekends, but they've turned up today, the exact day I was going to make a video, just to piss me off. Any excuse to be pissed off. But no, luckily they've gone. And I'm hoping I've got enough light, because it's still that time of year when the light seems to go really quickly. I can already tell. That. Shall I? Hang on. Wait there. Did that make any difference whatsoever? I can't tell. Anyway, yeah. Nothing. I'll say nothing special. One thing is sort of special to me. Is something I've been looking at for probably over a year, maybe 2 years. Actually, I can't put a time frame on it, but it's been a long time, and I know it has, because something associated with this thing that I've got has gone up in price quite significantly in the time that I've been procrastinating over buying this thing. That's going to come right at the end, so hopefully it won't be a too long video, but if I carry on like this, it's going to be a bloody mammoth. But now I've got a right mix of stuff, mostly charity shop stuff, apart from, I think, all charity shop stuff actually, apart from a couple of eBay bits, which will come right at the end. So that thing I was talking about, obviously, if you put those two and two together, it's an eBay thing. So I've been waiting a long time to buy an eBay, so keep an eye out for that one. Yeah, as I said, a mix of stuff. Some of it I could leave out, but that's not in my nature. Put it all in. My inner monologue, my subconscious says, put it all in. So it's all going in. First two are CDs. These were in connection. These, you have to remember this bit. These are in connection with something that I bought on eBay. Basically, I bought a PS1 game on eBay, a double case PS1 game, and it needs a new case. And I've had troubles getting a new case. Oh, they've gone. The van's gone. So in a charity shop, I bought 2 CDs. It was in the British Heart Foundation, and if you ever go to the British Heart Foundation, they have they do a 3 for £1 thing. Generally DVDs and CDs, and these are 2 CDs, and it was a Bastille, basically the middle-aged person's idea of indie music. I like a couple of their tunes, but by and large, not really my bag. But I just like a couple of their tunes, and it was 33p. But I was basically trying to fill the slots in. That was me. Hello. Trying to fill the slots in this 3 for £1, because I wanted the other thing, which will come later. No, it won't actually. I'm not going to show it. Just realised I'm not going to show it. I will refer to it later. This is really confusing so far, I imagine, for anyone other than me. But yeah, Bastille, the middle-class, middle-aged person's idea of indie music. Acceptable, sort of I like that Pompeii. If you know it, you probably do. It's been bloody everywhere. I don't know where to put that. Where to put that? Like that. And this one, probably more my sort of thing. Not an album I know. It's the Bees, Octopus. It's not an album I know. Because I like the Bees because a real sort of Z quality claim to fame here. When I was at university, when I was at college, art college, back in 98 to 2001. That's how old I am. I might look it. So I can already tell it's going dark. Wait there again. Shit. Let's try that. I've probably made it worse. No, I've made it more. Anyway, yeah. Back at that time, I was at university, and sort of, he's like the lead singer, bass player, lyricist. Well, he was the lead singer at the time. He's not anymore. A guy called Aaron Fletcher was in the year above me, and he lived with my two friends. And they loved to tell him he was like the coolest guy at the college. Have I really been talking for nearly over 6 minutes? Jesus. Yeah. He was the coolest guy at the college. My two friends lived with him, and they love to tell people. They love to tell people, oh, we live, decent bloke. The band before they were the Bees, they were called Exploding Thumbs, but then they had to change their name because there was another band called Exploding Thumbs, and saw a few of their gigs. One of them we went to, and my mate insists that he accidentally drank a drink that had got Rohypnol in it. Because he said he went home on his own. He walked home on his own, and where we lived in these flats, there was a big steep hill. He said he walked home on his own, and he really struggled to get up the hill, and he sort of collapsed, and he was basically crawling up the top of the hill. It wasn't that. I don't think we were that drunk, but we hadn't drunk that much, but something, Anyway, yeah, that was at a Bees gig, and they're the sort of band who you won't, Bees, you probably know a shit ton of their music. There's a song called Chicken Payback, which I bet you've heard it on adverts, and there's a song called LAM. Was it? It's Portuguese. It's a Brazilian song. It's their version of this Brazilian song. Something. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, look them up. I like them. They're sort of. I'm not sure they're still going now, but I think they're the sort of band that refused to be moulded by record companies. If you see them in videos, they basically look like a load of hippies that you'll find playing bongos in a field somewhere. which in a way, they're sort of like lack of willingness to conform. I admire as one of their strengths, but I don't think it helped them in terms of making a full-on career out of their music. Even though their music's really good, look it up. The Bees. That's not an album I know. 3 films. Just an upgrade from a DVD. I really love this film. I've forgotten the director's called. What's he called? Drew Goddard. I saw one of his more recent films recently. Bad Times at the El Royale, which is really good, and this is really good. I like I like what it stands for. It's sort of like it's. Hang on. Actually, that way. It's sort of it takes the idea of horror films and sort of puts a new spin on it, if you know what I mean. No? Anyway, yeah, really like the film, but an upgrade in a charity shop. And these two films I've wanted for a long, long time. Both from charity shops. The Battle of Algiers. I think it's sort of like a pseudo documentary about. Don't know exactly. That was it, yeah. Algerian liberation fighters against the occupying French forces between 54 and 62. And there was like a, not that I know anything about it, but I only know sort of itch about it as far as sort of this film is concerned. It's supposed to be really good. I think it uses actual footage of the conflict. It's not a documentary. It's sort of fictionalized, but you know, as it says, one of the most remarkable films of all time. Yeah. And another one I've been looking at for a long time. It's sort of like your archetypical sort of film that you think sort of weird and sort of awkward and arty and sort of difficult, but if you actually give it a chance, you realise it's not. It's the Seventh Seal. This sort of film you sort of think you should watch once, but you think no, it's a bit like heavyweight. That's the thing, but it's not at all. Having watched it, it's not at all. It's funny. It's so much funnier than I thought it was going to be. There are so many films you think you just give them one shot, and you'll realise they're not quite what you think they're going to be. Like this, for instance, it's funny. I mean, like it's been parodied by Bill and Ted, isn't it? And that in itself is I suppose like a homage, but it's about a returning knight from the Crusades who has to play. He's returning to his country where there's the plague is rife. Is it the plague? Yeah, bubonic plague is rife, and he has to play chess with death to decide if he's gonna live or die, or death's gonna take him. I think. Yeah, that was £2 in a charity shop. Right, I'm gonna move all that out of the way. So, films and games. No, films and music. I'll whack that up there. Right, I'm just going to go. I've got two board games. Not that I play board games. I've just in the past I've regretted not buying board games. I've done well out of buying board games to sell on. This is pretty much what these are for. But in the past, I've seen certain board games and passed them up, and then I think that was it. I saw it was a copy of Space Hulk. If anybody knows it, the Games Workshop game, like an slightly older version of Space Hulk, and I sort of decided not to buy it there and then. It was only a fiver, and then I went back sort of about 10 minutes later, and it had already gone. Someone had nabbed it, and I thought to myself, right from now on, anytime I see anything sort of Games Workshop or Games Work style, I'm just going to grab it, and this is pretty much what that is. The first one is a bit more, not really Games Workshop-y. It's a bit more, don't know, probably not my cup of tea. But I think it's quite nerdy. It's more sort of historical rather than sort of like fantasy sort of Games Workshop-y. It's something called Splendor. There you go, Splendor. It's about becoming a merchant, and as the leader of a merchant guild, you invest in mines, send your ships to the new world. Basically, you have to make a load of money. It's a card game. I don't think it's a board game. It's mostly cards. But this was only £3, and it's brand new. And I thought to myself, this is one of those situations. I thought to myself, I'm going to regret it if I don't buy it. And I looked it up later. Yeah, it's not. I'll probably get about £20 for this. It's quite easy to sell on because the box isn't big. So, it's that sort of slightly nerdy historical board game sort of game type thing, which you imagine holds its money. So yeah, that was one, and the other one I have actually played. I played back when I was about 11, I think. My first friend at secondary school. We're no longer friends. His mate once. No, he's not his mate. His brother once beat him up for. I had this little electronic water pistol. I took it around there one summer's day, and we were larking about with it. And his mate was into sort of. They were both brother. I'll say it again. his brother was into painting Games Workshop figures, and he was painting them, and my mate squirted him with a water pistol, so his brother beat the shit out of him. But you know, a little side story there, a little yeah, gives my sort of like gives it all a bit of a colour, doesn't it? Anyway, yeah, this is one I've played. This is one I wasn't going to leave behind. It turns out it's not complete. I don't know how incomplete it is. I know there's definitely a few things that it's missing, and I've looked them up. I could probably get them for probably in total about a tenner on eBay. Just can't be asked. So if I want to sell it on, I'm going to have to. And I'll probably just break it up and sell it as parts. But this is one I've played. I might even play it myself if I can find someone. If I can find someone to play it with. Blood Bowl. It's a 1988 Blood Bowl. Yeah. Basically fantasy American football where you can you like duff each other up. It was Games Workshop. And like I said, I'd set myself that rule that I was never going to pass up a well-priced Games Workshop pack set. Because, you know, I do see it relatively often, and it often, I think, charity shops are often sort of aware of how much this stuff, you know, how collectible is. So it's not often affordable for a chancer like myself. Right. So yeah, that's all the non-game stuff. This is all the game stuff. And looking at it now, this is all charity shop stuff. I could whiz through this in 5 minutes. I've not got much to say about any of it. Who knows? I might even be done by 25 minutes. I was going to say 20 minutes there, but I thought it was slightly optimistic. But screw it. First one. Lord of the Rings: War in the North. This looks like those sort of PS2 gen games. You know, the Lord of the Rings sort of tie-ins. That sort of hack and slasher. But no, this was a game I've sort of, you know, wanted to at least have a go at. It's only 99p, so you know, and it looks really dated. It's not bad. I've had a little go so far, but it looks really dated. But it's probably better than I realise. You know, I'm not saying it's not going to get better, but it just feels dated. It's, you know, it's I've not really got much more to say. But Lord of the Rings: War in the North, and you choose a dwarf, a ranger, or an elf. And then, yeah. It doesn't really feel like Lord of the Rings as in the universe set out by Peter Jackson. But, you know. These are two relatively recent ones. One of them's for trading in, one of them's probably for keeping, might be for trading in. This one, Batman Arkham Origins. The tin, I'm guessing it had well, maybe it didn't have a slipcover because it's sort of like a bit like knobbly, raised. So it probably didn't have a slipcover. But it looks like, or maybe, I don't know actually. I was about to say it looks complete, but there's no manual. 2 discs. I wonder if those the download codes still work. Not that I have any way of working out if they do, but yeah. I've got the 2 other Batman Arkham games, so you know. For a 99p punt, I thought, why not round off the trilogy? I know this is meant to be the sort of like the lesser of the 3, isn't it? Because the first 2 were pretty much top quality gaming. This is meant to be slightly lesser of the 3, and this one was more of a no-brainer. Might even be an upgrade. I don't think so because I think my version is already in decent nick, but it's a cracking game. I love it more than the earlier version, the early game. It's Left 4 Dead 2 now. This is only 99p, and I think this is about £7 trade-in to Computer Exchange. But I really, really love the Left 4 Dead games. I think as far as sort of like zombie, sort of the idea of zombies and sort of what they mean, I think Left 4 Dead probably does it sort of better than all the games I've played anyway. Whether there are more modern games that sort of fit the idea, it's that sort of desperation, which I think is the main threat in zombie films. You know, so that you know, basically you have to. It's sort of like doing really bad with explaining myself. It's hacking and fighting your way through hordes of zombies. That's basically what the threat is. It's the numbers, and I think that the Left 4 Dead games recognises that. Oh, well, you know, but 99p for that. Like I said, is a game I've already got, and a game I love. I love both of them, but this one is probably my favourite of the two. Never played it as it's meant to be played. It's meant to be played sort of pretty much, 4-player in it. But oh well. I've played 2-player. Have I played 3-player? No. I've played it when there's been 3 of us in the room, but we only had 2 controllers. Right. Next 2, these both came with that Cabin in the Woods. It was in this funny, rough charity shop. I think it's like Romanian Relief or something. It's a weird little charity shop. It's probably the most ramshackle little charity shop you'd ever see. But I think a couple of times, the last time I went in there, I was just sort of looking through their shelves. They had nothing. This other bloke came in behind me, and I heard him go to the woman behind the counter. How much is that? And she goes, "Oh, it's £30." And I wonder what that is. I was sort of earwigging, and £30. And I just looked around, and she brought out this sort of it's a PS3. He had a PS3. It was like 30 quid for a PS3. I probably wouldn't have gone with that myself. And she goes, "I've got some games as well." And he goes, "Oh, really? How much are they as well?" And she goes, "Oh, £30 as well, 30, all of it 30." So, and then she brings out this whacking great. It was basically a carrier bag, like full, bulging of PS3 games. I'm thinking, oh shit. So I just heard my cat. My cat is in the hallway. My cat is in the hallway. Going back a few years, he used to be like a swaggery bastard. Then he got his ass kicked. He got his ass kicked in a fight, and ever since then he's been like a nervous, anxious, tiddly mess. And he's got old now, and now he's got in this habit of standing in the hallway, like making that mournful crying noise that cats do. He never used to. He just decided, and he's doing it now. It's really distracting. I'll do my best to ignore him. But anyway, those two, yeah. I was in the shop when this guy bought a load of a PS3. Like it was a slim with a big bag full of games, and I just wish I'd known what was in the bag. I bet in my head it was like all the best PS3 games. But it was probably loads of sports games. But anyway, yeah. In this same charity shop, I saw that Cabin in the Woods. And I might not have bought Cabin in the Woods, but they don't take cards in this particular place. So I had to go and get a cash out. In the end, I thought I'd make a little pile just to justify, getting money out. So I've got Cabin in the Woods, Little Big Planet 2 for £150. They were all £150. Little Big Planet 2, not a game I've got. Always been a game I've interested. This and it's the first game, neither of which I've got. Because I don't really have any platforms on the PS3. And this one was the big motivation behind going to get money out, because generally I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't have bothered for Little Big Planet 2 and Cabin in the Woods. But this one, I thought to myself, that's one of those games that that's nothing to look at, but really collectible. That sort of passes people by that they don't realise. It's only like PS2. It's a PS2 game. It's only PS2 collectors who know. I thought, shit. I know there's there's a range of games. I'm sure there was. There's a range of games that are actually really collectible and quite uncommon. So, oh shit, it's one of these, isn't it? I better go and get some money out. hopefully no one will nab them before I come back. But it's a PS2 game. It turns out it's not quite what I thought it was. I thought it was quite uncommon, but CEX sell it for £2. And I think there are loads of them. But I think the American version looks like it's a lot more collectible. I think it goes for sort of, if you look on eBay, it's about sort of £15. And the last two in the UK have sold for around about 6 or 7, so it's not like dirt cheap. But I'm not quite sure where it sits. I think you can get it for dirt cheap on eBay, I don't know. But it's a game called, was it World of Outlaws Sprint Cars? I think, are these called sprint cars? This version of these version of I thought they're not stock cars, are they? No, that's like NASCAR, isn't it? Stock cars. Basically, it looks like Speedway. Just go round and round and round in circles. I think it's sort of like there's more of a culture of it in America. Not so much here. I don't really know, but those spoilers on the top are nuts, aren't they? But I swear I think it might be a PS3 game that's really like collectible. There's a game on the PS3, something like World of Outlaws Sprint Cars, and it's really collectible. And sort of, I think CEX sell it for about £45. But there's my receipt. It's in decent nick and it's complete. But I think it might be more collectible than CEX. No, it's one of those, even though it's not uncommon as far as their stock. But strange one. I thought, like I said, I thought I had a bargain. Turns out not as much of a bargain as I realised. But I don't know. I have to do more research into it. I've had a quick go. I've watched some YouTube videos as well, and it's a bit like, I don't know. Like you just drive around in circles on a dirt track, like Speedway. It's probably better than that. I probably need to give it time. Right. So, if anybody watched that charity shop sort of tips video, I mean, all of this is sort of, it's not bog standard charity shop stuff. It's not like piles and piles of sports games. I mean, these are all charity shop stuff. This next stuff is all charity shop stuff. So this is the post-Christmas purge. I'm sure it is. There are charity shops who have signs in the window saying, "Are you decluttering? Why not, leave your stuff here, so to speak." So, it does make sense, doesn't it? But and these two, both decent. This was from my local charity shop. Again, it's sort of paying off. I went in there a few weeks ago and I was looking at the games, and as I was hunched down looking at the shelf of games, they've got them right by the till. The manager, she came up to me and said, "Are you interested in games? Because I've got a big tub." I think, "Oh shit!" I thought, bingo. Or in my head, I did, but it was also half bingo, half oh shit. What happens if she brings out a whole load of sports games? And I have to sort of like, basically smash her dreams of selling something. But no, I'll take the gamble. I'll take her up on a kind offer because she had to go and get this big crate from their store cupboard. But turns out there was a few in there. I could made it worth her while bringing it out. A big tub it was, or big crate, but I got two, so And again, they don't have. They don't take cards. They have a minimum. They do take cards, but they have a minimum of £5. So basically, when I asked her the price, we came to an agreement that I would pay a £5 for them. So just so I can use my card. The first one is basically, I think she charged me £2 for this. Yeah. So Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 remix. Yeah. So. Not bad. Not quite as collectible as I realised. I think I could get that in CEX for £4. This one, the same actually. I thought I'd got a bit of a bargain. She charged me £3. It is a bargain, but only really if I want to sell it on. It won't get me anything if I trade it in. But you'll see why it's a bargain. It's Halo 5. What is it? Halo 5 Guardians, and it's brand new. It's like a Guardians limited edition. I don't know how limited it is. It's probably not limited at all, but it says it's limited edition. And you know, if I want to make this worthwhile, as not having an Xbox One, I pretty much have to sell it on. It's me again. Hello. So yeah. So those two both came from my local charity shop. So again, it's paying fruit. Paying fruit? Do you pay fruit? Bearing fruit. paying off bearing fruit, paying fruit. It's paying fruit. So yeah. So yeah, that wasn't too shabby. And finally, for the charity shop stuff, one that's I've had a few things in the past. Something I got recently, actually since Christmas, but I traded in. I probably should have put a photo up on Twitter, but you know, I just wanted to trade it in as quickly as possible. It was a 3DS game. It was a Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, is it? For £3, and I think it got me about £12 trading. So, and this was a different time, different occasion. Next occasion I went in. These are sort of cheaper and in sort of in order of appeal to myself. For £1, Sonic and the Secret Rings. They had loads of others. They had generally Wii games. They had a Mario Kart Wii, but it didn't have any disc in it, and that's the second time since Christmas I've seen a Mario Kart Wii without a disc in it. There's that one occasion, and there was another occasion it had the box with the steering wheel in it, and there was a Wiimote in the steering wheel, and the case was there with all the bumps in it. It had everything bar the disc. And I looked it up, and if you want to get a loose disc, it's really expensive just for a loose disc. So it wouldn't have been worth my while just to buy it and then buy a loose disc sort of later on. But so saying two copies of Mario Kart Wii missing discs since Christmas. Animal Crossing looks a bit of water damage on the thing, but I think these are all going to get traded in, and this is the best of the three. Smash Bros Brawl. I've found this so many times in charity shops. You know, it's strange. I didn't realise it must have been a massive seller, probably along with Mario Kart Wii. So that is all charity shop stuff since Christmas. Oh, maybe about sort of 4 or 5 trips out. You know, 3, 4 different charity shops, but you know, there's a definite slight upsurge in quality of stuff I'm seeing, and I'm guessing other people are as well. I should do. Just it makes sense. Right, last 2 bits. Ooh, relatively brief this video. Last 2 bits. Basically, Christmas presents to myself. A game I've been looking at for a long time. I think it's not an expensive game, but you can't get it in Computer Exchange. So basically, it was eBay or nothing, and one popped up. I think the seller offered it to me for. I think it came up for £12, and the seller offered it to me for 10, and I think that was a decent price actually. I think I checked beforehand before accepting it, because I never accept when they offer you these bargain prices. I never go, yeah. Yeah, a bit more, mate. You can't counter, really, can you? You can't counter with those, or can you? Or can you? I don't know. You can counter offers when you make an offer, like a counter offer. You can't counter when they sort of send the people watching the listings. You can't counter those, can you? Or can you? I don't know. But yeah, it's not available in Computer Exchange. It's Tempest X 3000. No, Tempest X3. Sorry, Tempest X3. Yeah, one I've been looking at for a long time because I couldn't get in Computer Exchange. Never really played the Tempest games, but this one looks. I think does it feel like sort of a slightly more modern version of sort of the older ones? It's like a slightly more modern version of the Jaguar game, because it looks like it's got that sort of slightly rebooted, remixed. You know, there's more stuff going on the screen, but it's a lot of fun. It feels like those the equivalent to those Space Invaders Extreme games on the PSP. Those sorts of, you know, like they've taken the basic Space Invaders game and just sort of like thrown a load of shit at the screen and sort of improved the whole experience, or updated the whole experience. And it feels a bit like that. But having not played the other Tempest games, I don't know how much this sort of, you know, is basically a modernisation. So, but yeah, it was only a tenner, and that was delivered, so that was a decent price, it turns out. But I needed a new case because it's a shitty case. You know, it's pretty, you know, scratches and dirt on it. But it's not difficult to get a sort of a double case replacement because, you know, there's no hologram on it. Turns out it is quite difficult because you think these cases are universal, but they're not. Because I've got a knockoff Final Fantasy VII soundtrack, perfect case because it came in a little sleeve. That doesn't fit because the tray falls out. With those two CDs, where am I pointing? With those CDs that I showed at the beginning, that was the third thing that I got in the 3 for a quid. It was a double case CD, some random, and that was in really nice nick because it was basically brand new because it had its wrapper on it, and that doesn't fit either because that's too big because you can't close the case. I was swapping out, basically took out the innards, so I had the single case tray, the single disc tray, took out the innards, and just wanted the outer bit that was nice and sort of clean and crack free, but the case wouldn't shut properly. So they're not quite as universal as you think they are. So it's not quite as easy to get a replacement case as I realised. I have had that problem in the past. I've got a Chrono Cross that needs a new case, and I'm having problems with that as well. But I'll keep going, and eventually I'll get a better case for this that fits. And I won't pay. I'll pay about 50p for it. It's only a CD. I'll pay about 50p for it, and I'll find a new one. I'm determined. But great game though. Just needs a new case, which, you know, finding one hasn't been that easy. Finally, now this is the one I'm most excited for. I think I've spoken about this for a while. I've mentioned it a few times in the past. Basically, I've been buying games for. It's a new system. Been buying games for it for a few years. That was a little hint there, actually. Little hint when I said Chrono Cross. I just gave the game away, although I didn't need to tell you that, did I? No. Basically, it's a modded slim PS2 in really, really nice nick. I've been keeping an eye out on all the sellers. There's loads of sellers who do this. They obviously just get PS2s, mod them and sell them on and make some decent money. But I've been keeping an eye out on some. There's a few. I've realised some. Just going by the workmanship. There's one of them who's obviously good at what he does. I say he, might be a girl. Slap on the wrists for assuming. I think I've forgotten what. I'm not going to mention names, but whoever it is takes photographs of all their soldering and their, There's lots of basically they leave lots of hot glue on the circuitry, which makes it look slightly untidy. And the guy who did these is sort of slightly the opposite. I was sort of more interested in this guy's sort of stuff because it takes sort of close-up photos of all of his consoles that he mods. Is me saying he again? I'll say he just for the, it's just easier for the time being. But all the consoles they mod, and you can tell that he's not hiding anything. And this was the first one that popped up in a while. I've missed a few that are in really nice nick. It basically have photographs of any sort of defects, so it's not hiding anything. And this one, you can see that you can see by the label that there's no nicks or anything on it. And I've had a lot of fun testing it. I've broken out all my my imported games so far. I've played Yataman, Time Boken, which is nuts but really good fun. And what else have I played? Mega Man 8 on my Mega Man collection. But yeah, it popped up for 70 quid plus, I think it was £8 postage, which I think you can get them cheaper than that. But like I said, I like this person's workmanship, and I offered 60 quid, and he countered with 64, which was just under or just over 70 quid in total. And I just thought, yeah, I'll do. It turned up, and it is just as good as I'd hoped it would be. But although I generally use my PS2 with that telly behind me with a component cable, but it's not really any good for PS1 games. And I've got some import PS1 games I want to play, so I'm gonna have to use it on my CRT, and it means, because this only comes as a basic console, it means I need to buy a new power pack and all the bits to go with it, which I totally didn't anticipate. But oh well, what a balls up. But yeah, but I'm pleased. It just means I could swap over the plug, but I just can't be asked. I want a dedicated one. But yeah. So this is the only console where I've got multiples of. I've got my original one that ended up breaking down. I've got a silver one to replace it, but I took all the sort of the plug and all the leads for the original one and used it with that. So basically, I've only got one power pack, only one AC adapter. But I need another one if I want to set this up permanently, and not have to fast around with all the cabling and things. But yeah. Chuffed. So now it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Not that I haven't already been buying import games, but yeah, I have noticed. It's been a few years now that I've had my eye on these. I've noticed, because there was a plan to get a lot of these PAL games for cheaper because I can get the import versions. I have noticed that all of those games have, since I've been looking, have gone up in price. It's basically sort of the whole reasoning for getting one of these is sort of basically gone by the wayside. But yeah, probably because of how more accessible these import consoles are. So the all of the ones that come for sale on UK eBay just basically generally go for much higher prices because these consoles are so much more accessible in this country now. These modded ones. But anyway, that's it. I'll let you go. No more waffle. I'm intending to do a PS2 collection. I've still got plenty of PS2 games I want to do. But I'm going to do a series of PS2 collection videos, as I did for the PS1 collection all those years ago, the A to Z. I just found that quite easy, and it gives me more scope to waffle about them all. So, and I quite enjoyed doing it in that way. And I could always do sort of like a more comprehensive, all-in-one video sort of later on. But I'm going to let you go before it gets 44 minutes. Cheers. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Look out for that. It'll be good. Maybe.